Hello again, athletes and fans around the world. Welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, as always, joined by His Honor, Tarek El-Guindy.
Great to be here, Tim. Great to be here with Chris as well. Let's talk about what really matters in bodybuilding.
Chris's clothes. Chris Cormier, everybody. The real deal, the Gucci man.
Hey,
how are you, buddy?
Man.
Are we bringing it in?
Brother?
All right.
Bringing it. Let's bring it.
Look at you. How are you been? How you been?
I've been nifty.
You've been all over the world, as always.
I've been all over the world. China, and I did the whole thing in Europe, throughout Scandinavia.
We saw those pictures, you and Breon freezing.
Yes, it was cold.
Well, good to have you back. We had some shows after the Olympia. And I got to say, as we get into this first topic, guys, I loved when Big Steve at the Olympia did that little shell game with Derek Lunsford, Hadi Choopan, and Samson Dauda, and put them all in the middle and gave them that opportunity to shine and gave them an opportunity to see who looked like what standing next to each other. And then the Olympia's over. Samson goes over to Romania and just dominates. And tell me about it. And there was a couple shows right around there that he was just the man. Did you judge any of those? Did you fly over there?
I judged Romania Muscle Fest, and he won that show convincingly. He had a lot more size. His lines are superior than most bodybuilders that we have right now. Could have been a little bit tighter, just like the Olympia, but again, in two of the most important criteria, which is size and lines, that man is very hard to beat.
Now, you were over there with Ruben Moscow, the Nexzilla, and he had an amazing pro debut. He turned pro and then debuted and took third.
Oh, yes, he was, and the funny thing is we didn't exactly know how he might stack up with the pros, so it was still up in the air. We thought he should go and try the pros the next day, even though he qualified.
Now, what did you think looking at Samson out there next to everybody else?
I think Samson is just getting better and better. I think, each show he comes in, I think they're really focused on his physique on a daily basis, which I think is doing him some greatness, because just a few years ago, he was not even on anyone's radar like he is now. So I think that's a testament to his hard work.
And now what we're looking at, guys, is he is arguably one of the most dangerous guys in the league, really just inching his way closer and closer to that top 1 and 2 spot on the big stages. We've got him coming up to the Arnold soon. He's made big. Now, you think about the changes he made year over year from the beginning of 23 to the end of 23.
Tim, yeah, absolutely. He's getting bigger. The lines are even more favorable because the weight's still very small. I remember Samson Dauda 2018 when I judged him in Italy, and he didn't make an impression on me. I was not impressed. He wasn't on the first call out. He was thin, streamlined, conditioning was not there. In the UK 2019, he placed second to Nathan Diasha. At that point, yes, he made an impression on me, and I was like, this guy has beautiful lines and he's gaining size. Then he comes to the United States and starts doing well. He wins a few shows in Europe, and I think he's really coming out to the world was his win at the Arnold, right? That's when we really said this guy is the real deal. He's ascending. He placed third at the Olympia, and the previous year he placed sixth. So you can tell that he's ascending. In front of him, he's got Hadi Choopan and he's got Derek Lunsford, which are two formidable competitors. In order to surpass these guys, the key question is conditioning.
Now, guys, Ronnie Coleman said he considers Samson the next Ronnie Coleman, which is probably the highest praise you could give a guy. We've got some pictures from the last show, and then we've got some update shots to look at with, again, the improvements that he's making.
Again, we were talking on the Menace podcast, Chris, myself, Milos, and Dennis, and we were talking about genetics. If you're born with a small waist, it's the equivalent of being 6'8", 6'9" in the NBA. LeBron James is 6'8", 6'9". So he is genetically gifted. As he grows his quads, as he grows his lats, the V-taper becomes even more prominent. So as he's developing size, his genetics are going to be even more emphatic. So the sky is the limit for this guy.
You know, one thing I noticed, if I was going to be hard on his physique, I would still talk about wanting more lats through the front, especially the right one right here. I know it's the smaller lat on his body, so he normally poses to this left side so he can, you know, display his stronger sides. But I think that's the one thing, like when they talk about him being close to Lee Haney and stuff like this, Lee Haney had that nice big thick lat coming down right here, and that was making no denying that in those shots, the front lat spread and something like that, it's going to be nice and thick across the chest, and that's the next element that he needs to go to that level of talking about between him and Ronnie and Lee Haney.
Now, we talk a lot about fine lines, definition, and so many guys get consumed with mass and confusing the two. But you look at this side chest, and if he had that Hadi Choopan definition, those striations across the top, or that capped outside shoulder that Derek's got that pulls that mass across the top of his upper pec, but that's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's the one thing with him is he's coming back with more and more bells and whistles on his physique and making differences and making changes. So that's, you're talking, could be 2 shows from now, could be, you know, in the near future than that, but that's just like his back to a bicep. I noticed that even when he was at Romania and then at Prague, his body was getting better and better to me, and I told him that backstage, and I thought the back to a bicep he controlled the muscles a lot better, and I thought it was a better package than the Olympia at those later shows.
Now, Tarek, looking at this on the back double body, got some nice shape and some nice definition, but there is, compared to a Hadi or Derek, there's some mass missing in the arms, and like Chris is saying, the low lat, you've still got a little bit of that oblique sticking around there you've got to dial that in.
You're 100% correct, Tim Wilkins.
Doesn't happen often, I'll take it.
We talk a lot about his conditioning, and we can see that if he has more separation on the glutes, if he has more separation on the obliques, he would be a better bodybuilder. But there's another factor that can make him really, really formidable, which is developing the width, the girth, and the detail on the back. He's doing a really good job developing those lats. We can start seeing a little bit more girth. Now with the conditioning, we're going to see the detail, but the back double biceps is possibly the pose that he needs to improve the most.
So Chris, this is always one of the 1,000 places you shine. In looking at where we've got, maybe can he rotate those fingers back to get a bigger peak on that bicep? Is there a way that he should be bringing those lats out?
Yes, you can rotate the whole shoulder girt back towards the crowd a little bit more and turn those fists a little bit more towards his head. And he can even turn his head to a strong left or a strong right, and that'll activate some of the upper trapezius muscles. That's a little trick that Real Deal used to put in there. That's the pro tip for you guys.
We're gonna have a little stinger that'll come up now. Chris's pro tip.
You know,
Ding.
But I don't think he needs to really worry about the arms. I think, you know, they're big enough. So I wouldn't start putting extra pressure there and end up injuring myself, because that's when you'll be going downhill if something like that happens. But if he just, because like Lee Haney didn't have those big arms.
Yeah.
He won, you know, eight Mr. Olympia titles. You know, it can be done. Just get that back in order. And a lot of people thought if he was even harder, he probably would have won Olympia this year.
He was right there. Now, okay, so this was October, November, and I love the update pictures because apparently not only have people made changes and improved, but you know, you always, when it's your update and not the Olympia stage, you find the perfect light for you. For some guys, it's right in front of Locker 45 at LA Fitness, in front of the bench. You got the light coming out of the sink area.
Tarek walking by.
I mean,
Jesus.
Let's look at the update pictures and see.
Let's see.
Look at, okay, I think you heard me about the arms. Gracious.
Yeah, man, a lot more thickness here. And then the thing is, keep improving the package, bringing what you're seeing on Instagram to life on the stage. And then that's, you know, I know you got really good lighting here, but I feel like if you can bring that type of thickness, keep that roundness in the chest, because it flattens out a lot of times when he gets on stage, right through the chest area in this particular shot. And that's the type of shot where you look like Lee Haney-esque.
Yeah. Tarek, those quads have come up a lot.
He looks incredible. I agree with Chris, and it's hard for me to say it, but he looks incredible. He looks Lee Haney-like, you know, the next coming of Ronnie Coleman. But as a judge, I'm going to tell you, I am very skeptical about all these pictures. Not only with Samson Dauda, not only with Derek Lunsford, and everybody. Rolly Winkler, remember, he took those pictures at the Magical Mirror and at the Oxygen Gym. You know, the lighting is favorable, the angles are favorable, there's nobody posing next to you. So he looks amazing, but I'm not giving that much credit. What matters to me is how he looks on stage. This is great for a lot of the internet channels to speculate. For judges, we go, awesome, congratulations, keep going. Now show me what you got on stage.
Well, I don't know how much of this is Funhouse Mirror, but the sweep on those quads on the outside looks night and day, and I can't help but think when he hits that side chest, there's just going to be a lot more detail and striations in that.
But I've saw striations in his quads leading up to shows in the past, but it didn't play out on the stage. That's where I want to see it, just like my comrade said. Let me see it on the stage, and that's where real bodybuilding happens.
Well, gents, it's going to be interesting. He's got the Arnold coming up. He's odds-on favorite to repeat. We'll cover that in an episode coming up here shortly with the different competitors and a few of their updates. But he is making big strides. Is he a year out from that Olympia, from that top two?
Well, I mean, you could say with the way his body's been progressing, that's about the time it's going to take. Maybe another year, but at the second year, I think he's going to be a totally different guy.
Derek, where is he this year's Olympia? Is he a year out, or is he a year and a half? Is he 2 Olympias out from pushing hard on those top two?
Man, I believe that if you place third at the Mr. Olympia, you could very well, win. You're right there. I mean, Tim, you look at guys like Ronnie Coleman, 9th to 1st. I know Dorian Yates was 2nd to 1st, Phil Heath 2nd to 1st, but I think if you're in that top 3, you can win. If you're a 6th, 7th place, we can see a little bit of distance. We have the magical story of Ronnie Coleman, but I don't think people can say he's far away from winning the Olympia. If you place in the top 3, I think you should be considered one of the contenders.
Well, we'll find out. We're going to see him at the Arnold. We're going to see him maybe even in more shows, because he's one of those guys that's out there doing what we wanted to see this year. Top 3 to top 5 in the Olympia, competing out there, putting himself on stage.
Let's get into the shows, guys.
And making himself better. And we've got more to talk about when we come back on this episode of Primetime Muscle. And we're back with more Primetime Muscle, and we're talking about a guy that goes by the name of Horse MD, Marcelo De Angelis, out of Brazil. And Tarek has just informed me that Horse MD is Horse Marcelo De Angelis. It's not that he's a horse doctor.
I thought he was a doctor.
That's what I thought. He was a doctor.
So
you're not a doctor. You can't put MD.
Come on, PhD is not a doctor.
MD stands for his last name, which is Marcelo De Angelis. But I'm not quite sure he knows himself that putting MD after his name in English means that you're a medical doctor. But now you can't take it out, because he's super popular on social media. He's got millions of followers, and people in Brazil don't even know his name. They just call him by horse.
Well, so you're neither a horse nor a doctor.
So what is the horse? The horse?
Where's the horse part come from?
I think because he has really good legs. I think that's where it comes from.
Man.
He has really good legs, and I think his nickname coming up was Horse. I think.
Eats a lot of oats, maybe poops when he walks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
I mean, those legs with some nice lines in it. I'd like to see that one.
Yeah.
Because I like the tight waist. The kid's bringing it.
Well, let's talk about his physique more than the confusion over his name. So let's talk about. Okay, here's another one though, and I gotta say, between the update backstage at Romania Pro, backstage in the semi-dark with the flash on whatever iPhone or Samsung you used, shredded. And on stage, great, but not quite the same package we saw hours before.
Like I was saying, the pictures are very favorable. I just want to give you guys a brief history of this competitor in Brazil. Coming up 6-7 years ago, the NPC was not in Brazil yet, so there was a lot of confusion what federation. He competed in other federation. He didn't want to compete in the old IFBB, but it was him and Rafael coming up.
Rondon.
Yes, but Rafael kind of sped up the process. A lot of people were saying Rafael has better work ethic, Rafael is more focused, and Horse was a little bit more of an eccentric character. He likes partying, he liked doing his thing at his own pace. Reminds me of somebody.
Decompression.
But incredibly enough, many people speculated that Horse could have been even better than Rafael if he focused in bodybuilding. It turns out that in the last 2 years, Horse MD has finally focused on bodybuilding, and his trainer is Milos Sarcev, so he's doing well. That's the history of this guy. And what he needs to do, he needs to prove to the Brazilian bodybuilding community that he's consistent. And now that he's coming to the United States and he's doing the Arnold Classic, he got an early invitation, he did well at Romania Muscle Fest, he needs to impress, right?
So you're our historian. When did he move up from Classic to Open?
So he turned pro with me in Brazil as a bodybuilder. Then he tried to do Classic physique. Remember there was that big scandal of the weight,
Yes.
scale, that I disqualified the guy. I was right there. The internet was like, Tarek disqualified him. Tarek, and I'm like, no, he's not disqualified. He didn't make weight. Okay, but he tried Classic and he couldn't make weight. He went back to bodybuilding, and I didn't think he was going to make an impact at Romania Muscle Fest. I was like, man, you picked the wrong show, bro. You're like out of your country. Samson Dauda's in the show, Beruz Tabani, Nathan Diasha. You had Nexzilla was not there.
He wasn't pro yet.
So
he was still amateur doing the pro.
And when he came in to do his individual posing, I was like, man, this guy is actually really good. So despite following his entire career, I only believed when I saw him coming for his individual. Monster legs, beautiful legs, small waist, great poser, knows how to pose, and the best thing about him, he knows how to hide his weakness. For a young competitor, that's very valuable.
What is his weakness, Tarek?
Back double biceps. If you look at his individual posing, he hit this pose, he hit this pose, he hit the back lat spread. And here's one thing, he needs to get together with Chris Cormier, because Chris is incredible. I was talking to Milos about this. His back lat spread is impressive, but when he hits his back double biceps, he's not connecting. I don't know what's happening, and maybe Chris can elaborate, guys that cannot connect on the back double biceps.
That little flare up to...
Yeah, Tarek, it's a body part that's behind you, so it's the less connected with, the less everything. Most people don't really understand, when you need to build the back, you got to really understand the anatomy and really get down to business when it comes to the training. It's not just on Instagram or something like that. But I mean, even the way he's loading up this pose here, I know he's not fully flared out in his lats. I think that he's not going to hit that pose right. I just think leaning back in that position right there, you should never be in that position. You should be just coming back with, I mean, and everyone don't even have a Christmas tree. It's okay not to try to show a Christmas tree that you don't really have.
It's okay not to have a Christmas tree.
It's just hit the shot, you know. But yeah, I think some of the poses, the back double bicep, I've seen it. It is kind of thin back there. But just think about this: with the arms he have, the triceps he have, the shoulders, all he needs is chest and back, and a little bit more midsection. He's going to be, you know.
Look what we don't need, Chris.
Pretty complete.
One of our favorites here. He's got some serious ham drop on that one.
Yes, he does. And, you know, that's the thing. Like, I've seen fully striated quads on this guy. I've seen when he don't have no striations at all in the quads. But if he can just get a good balance and understand all the different attributes he could bring to the stage, I think that's when you're going to see I mean, this guy's got all the bells and whistles needed to go to the next level.
When did he pick up with Milos?
So this was his first preparation with Milos. You know, this is his pro debut, and I think Milos is a perfect combination for Marcelo, because I think Milos understands this guy is a bit eccentric. He's different. He likes to go on his own pace. Now, when I spoke to Marcelo, he said, Tarek, I'm not hungry. You know, one of the things that I hated was being hungry. I said, man, all bodybuilders are hungry. If you're not hungry, you need to join my club and Chris's club, right? We're not hungry. But he struggled with being hungry, losing size, and apparently Milos is pounding the food and he's enjoying.
Well, Chris, what do you figure he's at about 235, 240 right there? How tall is he?
I think he's, you know, maybe my height, around 5'9", 5'10". He is about, I'd say he's about 240 pounds.
Okay.
Very impressive from the front, very impressive from the side. The back lat spread is there. I want to see the back double biceps. He did not show the back double biceps in his individual. And on the back double biceps, when he was right there next to Samson, Beruz Tabani, and Mohamed Foda, he was exposed. So at the Arnold, we're going to be looking at his back double biceps.
No, one of the reasons I ask you guys is we talk often about the guys that are aesthetic versus the mass monsters, and those guys that are those really great hybrids. He's got a little ways to go to get that mass up to that next level at the top 5.
Yes, but that frame is really popping, man. He's really gifted bodybuilder. You can do anything you want with this body. He's got to be smart about it, and don't go for the quick fix. Like you're right there, just about ready to take that next leap to the next level. So just be smart about the way you build your physique, and I don't know, I would just take my time and just do it right.
Well, you're with Milos the Mind. He knows what to do. Call Chris, fine-tune that posing. And call Tarek to translate if you need it. But you've got a future and you've got a great physique, and we're expecting great things from Horse MD. And we're expecting great things from one of your guys in Camp Cormier, and we'll talk about him when we come back. All right, after the Olympia, one of the biggest shocks, guys. Guy goes pro, jumps right on stage in Prague, takes third against, that was the Samson Dauda Beruz Tabani show?
Michael Krizo.
Michael Krizo.
Yeah, Samson first, Michael Krizo second, Nexzilla third, Nathan Diasha fourth.
So he edged out Nathan Diasha.
And it was close, but he did.
But still, we're talking about Rubiel Mosquera, Nexzilla. And Chris, how long have you been working with, I just love saying it. How long have you been working with Nexzilla?
Well, before the show, or actually back in April, we did some work out at the FIBO. and he, he felt, he liked to work out, and we started hanging out more and more. Going throughout Spain. We went to, Cyprus. We went to different places like this with Yaba Labs and the Yaba Labs team. So we're a close-knit team, and he was like starting to train more, starting to do some stuff with Breon, and we worked. We hung out in the day, we hung out at night. Food and just a lot of laughs, and just getting a little continuity like that to where we were like.
Did he ask you at one point, "Can I train with you?"
Yeah. But he was interested in training. He said, "Hey, I want you to put me through a workout." So then, going out through Europe, like I said, we spent a lot of time together. And then I was like, noticing his body start to move and start to develop, like over the course of us traveling around together. And I was like, man, this guy, I think, could do something. Then he kept on that pace, and there's levels to the type of training that I like to, give my athletes is, I told him it's like a white belt, brown belt, working your way up to a black belt. And right now, he's still in, I give him a green belt right now because he got his pro card, but there's still more levels to go, and I think that's when you're going to see the best of Rubio.
So, Tarek, were you judging in Prague?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so but you follow everything in the sport. So he gets that pro card. He wins the pro card within, I think, a day or 2 days.
One day.
One day.
So it was the very next day, not even 24 hours later.
Well, that's usually a day you peak too. Jumps on stage, blows everybody's mind. He's an absolute freak.
Tim, I was really, I remember talking to Chris beforehand, and Chris was saying, Tarek, this guy's the real deal. This guy's the real deal. Trust me on this one. And as a judge, you're always skeptical until you see it on stage, right? Chris has a great eye, and I don't think he exaggerated for no reason. When I saw him on stage, I said, Chris, this guy's a monster. Why didn't you tell me? And he was like, I've been telling you. Man, it's just
I have, man, dude. I was like, dude, Tarek, I'm telling you, this guy's like different. He's different. And it's different when you see him in person as opposed to on video. And everyone sees him on video and they're saying this or that with this guy. But when you see him in person, you're going to have the same reaction as myself, as Dexter, as DJ. As Kevin LeBron, all had the same reaction.
Yeah, when you're getting a video from Chris and he says, check this out, check out these thick quads and this big butt, you don't expect it to be Rubio Mascara.
and listen, I was impressed because the videos he was showing me, I was like, okay, this guy's huge, but he's not next to anybody. And then he goes next to Michael Krizo, and he overpowers Michael Krizo. He overpowers some of these guys. So I am still in awe about what he did. I'm happy for this guy because he's got Chris on his corner, and I think there's a level of trust there that's important. And I think this guy is very inexperienced in the professional game, and I think Chris is going to groom him well. Do we have the next Mr. Olympia here? I don't know, but man, his size is something that we haven't seen in a long time.
We haven't seen this in a long time. We've got, we talk about golden hour, perfect lighting videos. This is not perfect lighting. This is random bathroom video from his hotel in Prague.
Right. This is in Prague.
What are we saying here, Chris?
And with the promotion they had there, the Evils Club, company brought a fabulous production. This is very close to the venue, but this one was just trying to see. We didn't understand. Like, we were like, okay, he's holding some water. There was just a situation with water with him. There was not a whole lot of fat on his body, but we were still not sure if we were going to even say, okay, let's try for the professionals the next day, just because we were still dealing with a lot of water in his physique.
And you mean the day from amateur to pro? There's still
it was like a 24-hour window, but this was before even the first show. We spent some time in Holland, training there, doing the posing, trying to help him connect better working on our sign language because his English is not the best, and my Spanish is not the first class. But I can do a little conversational stuff. But
still, if we could pause
we
this.
did what we can to try to get his mind and his body.
So if we get the right lines going, you pull that layer of water, and we saw what we saw on stage, start to get some separation here in the hams. Those quads definitely need separation because they're so massive.
But think about this, the language barrier so far, but I'm going to correct that very soon. We train down in Tijuana right now, and it's only like 30 minutes from my house. So that's where we're in training right now. But now we're going to be able to connect more with understanding the body. But think about this, trying to convey, hey, I need you to hit this more. I need you to get up on your pinky toe a little bit higher so we can engage those hamstrings better. This is how we're going to get the glutes in. Okay, you're not connecting down on the latissimus dorsi region, not at the lat insertions. All that stuff has not been able to convey that to my client right here, but I know that's all going to be fixed this time, and I just think it's just the beginning of. This guy is so raw, guys. He's so raw. I had to talk him into wearing Protan for the first time ever on the stage the night before he turned pro, and went toe to toe with some of the world's best.
He didn't want to use Protan.
He never used it before, and he didn't think he needed it. I was like, bro, trust me, you need it. You need it.
Well, to think that he's that raw in his posing, training, the mindset is just, the potential's just got to be crazy.
Correct. It's like,
how old is he, Chris?
He's 28 years old.
Perfect.
He's only been training, I think, competed for a few years. That was his 8th competition ever. So still understanding what to do on the stage. You're still working on stage presence. You're still working on what to do when this guy is doing whatever, or this happens, do this, or this happens, do that. All that stuff is not even connecting it. Talking about using the sartorius muscle. I don't know what that is in Spanish, so I didn't know what to say to him about that. But I was just trying to, be involved when he was on stage so much, giving sign language, telling him here,
aquí,
like this, yeah, mas, all of that stuff, yeah. I think that's going to be a thing of the past. I told him also, work on your English, at least a strong hour every day. Let's start getting the communication better, and I think I know he's got a lot of criticism from a lot of people. But I'm telling you right now, with the amount of things that I know he knows about bodybuilding, the amount of things that I know he can learn, that's all going to play out on his physique and in his expertise on stage.
Let's roll this just a little bit more. And Tarek, I want you to talk about when we get back to that front, and you can see the quality across the top of the chest. The shoulders are veiny. They're getting close to striated. And like Chris said, he was holding a ton of water right here.
Here's the thing. He is massive on top, but he's still a little bit unbalanced because this here is 3 times massive, right? So as big as he is on top, he's still gonna have to gain a little bit more muscle to match this. This here is unexplainable. I don't know what happens. He's from Colombia. I don't know if he came running to Prague.
Up the hill,
okay, carrying a house, because this is not normal.
This is some Area 51 stuff right here. This is alien quads.
Yeah,
okay?
Even just looking down and seeing the sweep and then, they just never go away. They're just there. So when he dressed, even out of the gym or whatever, he's putting on shorts and stuff, people just be like, he's a sight to see in person, for sure.
Oh, guys. Well, Nextzilla, I guess, since Quadzilla was already taken, but I'm thinking at this point, was it Tom Platz was our last Quadzilla? Who was
Paul DeMayo.
Paul DeMayo.
But the thing is, though, I've been around both of these gentlemen. Tom Platz is short. Paul DeMayo, he was Paul DeMayo, but this is different. And I'm telling you right now, when you see him in person, when he goes to, starts to get his visa handled and be in America, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And look to see him in a lot of places, and he will be there. very formidable. Formidable. Did I say that right?
Formidable, but
Formidable.
okay, I don't even want to get into the fact that he's trying to get a visa to come here.
Yeah.
You know, if he could just pack enough meal prep, he can walk across anywhere he wants to. And
Can't through Texas right now.
Yeah, you can see those quads and come on over, man.
Take you about a day without eating, 2 days maybe.
Yeah,
You can just get it.
he just gets striated. He just get harder.
Yeah.
But with those legs, he can take down any wall Trump builds. I mean, he can make a hole on that wall with those legs.
Making quads great again. Guys, always a lot of fun. It's fun to see the new guys popping up, and it's fun to think about where the other guys this year are going to make improvements. Derek, any parting shots before we wrap this?
I am starting to sense that some of the new stars are coming. I think some of the older guys are heading towards retirement. Some of the, they just won Olympias, but I think they're in the end of their careers. And some of these guys that we're talking about, Nexzilla, Horse MD, I know Samson has been around for a little bit, but fairly young guy as well. I think we're starting a new generation of bodybuilding.
Folks, as always, we appreciate you joining us. Like, subscribe, share, follow us at Primetime Muscle, and follow all the great stuff at Olympia TV, the Olympia battles, and all the great live updates. For Primetime Muscle, I'm Tim Wilkins, one and only Chris Cormier.
Real deal.
Real deal. Tarek El-Guindi.
How you doing?
We'll see you next time on Primetime Muscle.